Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Multidimensional Shift podcast. This is your girl, Nee. We are here to connect through love, empathy, and high vibrations. Let's tap in. Okay, so this episode, we have the privilege of tapping in with Tatiana. I met Tatiana on an app. It was like a podcast app. I think it was called the 7-Figure Podcast. Yeah, and it was created by David Shands, I think his name is. So I'm really happy about that opportunity because it allowed me to connect with Tatiana. I decided to reach out to her and connect with her because it seemed as though that we were aligned with the same things. So Tatiana is a spiritualist. She is a mediumship. That's how she does mediumship and readings, right? That's what it is. Right? So tell us a little bit about that because I know, tell us a little bit about it.
Actually, when I started doing spiritual healing, it's kind of what the branch of it all stems from. Mm-hmm. It was in a time where I feel like everything happens because of a man. Mm-hmm. All the goods, all the bad happen because of a man. I was so obsessed with tarot readings that I decided, if I'm watching it from morning to night, might as well learn it. Mm-hmm. And so I did learn it. I ended up starting my own company. Mm-hmm. At the time was Unspoken Truths, Unspoken Divine Truth. Oh, that's where I got into YouTube. That was back in 2016. Mm-hmm. And in a month it blew up, which was very unexpected for me. I was like, what's going on? Right. And I ended up speaking to women from all around the world, giving them readings and kind of flowing into therapy from there.
So what exactly is the readings and tarots? Is it tarot? Tarot. Oh, I'm just making up words, y'all. Okay, tarot. What is tarot?
Well, tarot for in general is supposed to give you a landscape of your past, present, and future self. It tells you in the tarot cards deck, it's 72 cards, 54 of them being standard day-to-day cards. It'll tell you about your day-to-day life. And the rest is divine intervention. Okay. As people may call it. And people get stuck on certain different places, meaning I would do a reading depending on how much the reading is. I could sit here and take out 3 cards and say past, present, and future. Right. Or we could fine tune into one specific topic that you're interested in. For me, it was mostly I did relationship tarot reading.
Right. And you also have a podcast called Heart of a Wife. And that's what really made me connect with you outside of the spirituality too, because I feel let me let you explain it, but I feel like the title is pretty self-explanatory. What was the podcast called?
So Heart of a Wife stems from me leaving Unspoken Divine Truths. Mm-hmm. So it kind of flowed hand in hand together. Mm-hmm. What I was realizing when I was doing the tarot readings was a lot of relationships topics were kind of the same, no matter what person was in front of me. It was kind of the same story. They wanted to find out, is this man cheating? Does he love me? Are we going to get married? Are we going to have children? Kind of the typical frames of what women in a day-to-day care about. So when I realized that I could give nuggets through tarot, but it wasn't helping the women, I decided, you know what, I'm going to focus a company straight for preparing women to be wise.
So why do you feel like the tarot? Why do you feel like the tarot wasn't working for people?
People hear what they want to hear. Sometimes they don't listen to the whole or see the bigger picture. They fine tune into one specific thing, I just wanted that one question answered.
Right.
And then they also didn't have the tools to continue on. It's like I give you a furniture from IKEA and then tell you, okay, no instructions, no tools, build it. Right. With your 2 bare hands. Right. And you're stuck there thinking I know how the ends go. I know how it's supposed to look, but what am I going to do with it? Right. Same thing with women in tarot. They didn't know what to do with the information. Knowledge is power, but too much information could also hinder
overload. You. Right. So what do you feel like a heart of a wife should be? What do you feel?
So heart of a wife really stems from the ends before the beginning. A lot of the times women focus on, I want to get married, I want to have children, I want the white picket fence, I want the American dream, and that's the ends goal. But before the vow to a man, before that ring at the altar, you have to have a vow and a ring to yourself.
Right.
And a lot of the times we don't focus on spiritual healing in order to navigate us to be the perfect wife or imperfect wife for our spouse. I was married before this. And
For how long?
I was married for 10 years.
That's a
We were
long
married
time,
for 8 of those years. I got married young, you know, in a Dominican households where marriage is the goal. It's like, forget school, get married, have children, live your life. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'm gonna get married and everything's gonna be perfect after that.
Because that's the dream that they kind of sell women, right?
What?
Yeah.
I was living in a fairy tale.
It is a fairy tale.
I was
It
living
sounds
in my
good.
own little fairy tale. I'm like, cool, I could do that, you know? So straight off of high school, I got married.
Right.
And little did I know that the struggles were real.
Right. So I think a lot of the knowledge that I've gained was through my own experience as well as like experience through other people. So I like to pick people's brains, and I like to pick men's brain in particular because it's different from ours, right?
Correct.
So one thing that I've noticed, in addition to what you're saying, that we want the white picket fence and things of that nature, is that men, first and foremost, I was saying this in the car, men will like literally, not to like dim anyone's idea or fantasy or whatever the case may be, but some men will literally buy you the ring, give you the ring just to shut you the hell up, or shut the situation up. You know what I mean? And I think to just pivot off of what you were saying, I feel like we have to focus on ourselves, of elevating ourselves and healing ourselves in order to be the ideal person that will eventually align to the ideal man, right? So I think that's the part that we miss as women, because like when you get the ring and then you get the kids and stuff like that, first of all, that's a lot of responsibility. I think people forget that like having a title outside of being a wife, being in your professional roles or anything, a title equals responsibility. You know what I mean? And so I definitely agree with you in that regard.
I think we got so used to the fake it till you make it mentality that is showing up in relationships.
Right.
It's saying like, I'm gonna just be the perfect for right now type of person for him and not be equipped with what we need emotionally wise. When you start getting into relationships, especially whether it's just partnerships or whether it's marriage, it highlights what is already inside you. So if you have insecurities, if you have traumas, this is just gonna highlight that.
Literally. And like
Cause problems.
I agree 100%, because outside of romantic relationships or platonic relationships, but mostly romantic relationships, it's a mirror. So it's reflecting exactly what you are. If anybody's going to see the intimate side of you, it's going to be through a romantic relationship. And it's about healing yourself when you see that mirror. And eventually, sometimes you either align or the other person may heal a little bit more and then go on, right? But I also think, let me ask you this. Do you feel like all men cheat?
I would say yes and no. It all depends on where they're at in life. I do believe that there are some men that have grown up in certain circumstances that when they're younger, they're not getting the girls, right? Whether they're being bullied, whether they have, family issues, a lot of your past traumas play an influence on the person you are as an adult. So a lot of them that have not been in a structure of love will really not show you like that they can love you. They're going to step out on you.
And I also feel like it's like filling a void almost, right? Yeah. You feel like that?
I do agree on that. I believe that depending on how a man is structured, meaning how they grow up, what happened in their past, a lot of men I don't think a lot of men were created or cultivated in a space where their emotions are open and free, especially in their homes.
Right.
So it translates into
those voids. Right, into the relationship. And I feel like also like part of the reason why men probably aren't equipped to like with the emotion aspect in a relationship, I think they have emotions. I think sometimes they're just afraid to express those emotions. You know what I mean? And part of the reason is because vulnerability is often correlated with weakness a little bit. And, you know, men don't want to seem like they're weak. So, yeah, vulnerability it's a lot. It takes a lot of strength to actually be vulnerable in a relationship. And I feel like the culture that we're in right now, the dating culture that we're in, I really don't agree with it because, you know, there's good and bad in everything, right? There's polarity, there's duality. So if you're able to alchemize the bad, you'll be able to heal and you know, evolve with it. But there's so many pressures within the world that sometimes it becomes too much. It becomes overwhelming. So I don't agree with the culture of essentially just like hurting people. So if you feel like you don't want to be in a relationship or you can't handle this relationship or you feel like you want to venture out or whatever the case, just be honest with the person and see if it aligns or if it doesn't. You know what I mean? Or you can't just be with a woman and then like use somebody else to fill your voids because you're essentially hurting the next person and we're inadvertently connected. It will inadvertently affect everybody else. We're all connected, you know what I mean? And it brings this like scarcity mindset and this like that all people are the same. And it essentially just hurts the community. So I really don't agree with the cheating aspect.
But in retrospect to that, there are some aspects that as a human, whether man or woman, you don't know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Like that, those bad habits, sometimes we develop such a bad habit for all the repetitions of all the years of doing it that we don't even realize it. Absolutely. Cheating is also in that category. You cheat a lot, you're prone to have those thoughts of, oh, look at that person. Like, let me talk to them. It's all about your mindset and how you develop it. Right. Think about mainstream schools. When you talk about mainstream schools, they kind of put you in place to think a certain way.
Absolutely, like a program.
They program your mind to think this is what it is. Society programs relationships to think certain aspects.
I'm glad you went there.
And when you start combating yourself to say, okay, this is what society says. This is what not is working for my relationships. Right. And then this is what, let's say, religion say. There's just so many brackets that you're sitting there lost because who
do you follow? Right. With me, I feel like that's why I dibble dabble in a little bit everything. So I could get a collective amount of information and figure out what works for me. Because what may work for me and what's good for me and what's bad for me may not be good or bad for you. You know what I mean? Everyone's journey is individualized. And I feel like it's about basically, you know, any movement I make, I try to make sure it comes from my heart. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because that's I don't know if you believe in chakras and stuff like that, but they say like that connects everything else. You know what I mean? And that's just how I move. And I feel like if you're telling the truth, you're speaking the truth, the throat chakra, that's a part of it, right? Then you'll be able to align with everything else because you're speaking from your heart, you're telling the truth. So that's why I was saying, and I agree with you, sometimes things are not conscious, you're doing it subconsciously. But I do feel like with the romantic relationship, maybe because I self-reflect a lot. So I be just seeing, like, I think another thing is people like really need to self-reflect and be aware of what they're doing. It's that mirror. So once I see, I'm like, okay, all right, maybe I could have did something different or like maybe, and you know how you just said something about society and things of that nature, like where do you go, society or religion? Like there's a lot of relationships that I had. Well, not a lot of relationships. I ain't had that many relationships. But what I'm saying is there's relationships I had where like, it's not ideal for most people. You know what I mean? But it was ideal for me at that moment. And it helped me grow. Like, honestly, like, if you really tap in with the other gender, man or woman, you'll be able to learn from them. They teach you a lot, believe it or not. And the scarcity mindset that society's trying to put on us instead of an abundant mindset is where I have the fault with, you know?
I think, you know, especially in relationships, what I tell my clients most of the times is, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, regardless.
There's no right answer.
It's not a one size fit all.
Right.
You take any advice with a grain of salt. Why? Because what's working for you might not be working for me.
Absolutely.
Our experience might be similar, you might have insight on a certain experience in my life, but you're not going to have insight on a full experience of my life.
Right.
With my clients, what I see is they're not playing the main character in their own relationships or in their own life. So their family influences them, religion, society, Instagram, social media. When you sit here and talk about the comparison between, they went on a vacation, they did this, they did that, they have that, and I don't have it at this age. It kind of, that sword, like slice you a little bit deeper, So a lot of factors play into like where we at society-wise in relationships and why we're not getting to marriage.
Right, and I love how you just said that, because I feel like when you said that, you were mostly pointing to women. I could be wrong, but the trips and all that, you know what I mean? I like to pick men's brain, and I've heard from multiple men that women could be very superficial. How do you feel about that?
So I was speaking to a man, and we were having this discussion, and
Really?
I told him, listen, along the lines, women drop the ball.
What
And
do
he
you
was
mean?
like, wait a minute, I haven't heard that. What do you mean? And I was like, listen, women as a whole, we took in so much leaps throughout society-wise that was essential for us. You're talking about the right to vote, you're talking about working, but what happens when we take those leaps is that we end up in one spectrum or the other. A lot of times we don't end up in the middle. Either you're going to have a passive woman or you're going to have an aggressive woman. And they kind of live in one or two far ends of it. What men are seeing now in this society is those two sides, but not the middle ground.
But there could be a middle ground.
There could be a middle ground,
Right.
but women, we're not
getting
grasping
there.
it.
Right.
We're in competitions with men and saying, we could do it just like you.
Oh my gosh.
I don't want to be my man. Baby, you have your own lane.
Right.
I don't want to be there.
It's so refreshing for you to say that, because I have other friends that like to beg to differ, because they're like, I had to like sit there and argue with like, you're not a man. Like, why do you feel like you could do this? And it's not to say that men are better. It's just that everybody has their own roles in life, and it's just like where we fit best. But I kind of understand, but when you say the balance, it helps it out, because then people start saying, it puts us in a box, this and that. But it's not about putting you in a box. It's just understanding where you fit. And then like, how can I say that? Understanding where you fit, but also having like a balance of where you fit, if that makes sense. So it's like you're on both spectrums. And I feel like that's where a woman should reside.
Right in the middle. I do believe that. I do feel like, you think about a child, right? When they're growing up. You give a child and you place a cake in front of them. And you give them a piece. You place the cake, you walk out. They're going to want the whole piece, right? They're testing your boundaries. Us as women, we tested men's boundaries. In a lot of the way that we think, in how we act, in how we talk, there is power in the tongue. There is death and life on the tongue. So if I sit here and I have a relationship with a man and I keep on telling him that he ain't shit, guess what? He's gonna be
not shit. Right.
A lot of the times, you're talking about a couple of years back when this whole high value men thing came up. It came up out of the blue. Let's be honest. But I in my opinion, I believe that it was the man saying, "Wait a minute. Now, before you was arguing that we treated you guys as shit, now you're treating us the same way."
You're right. I think it's just like a concept of hurt people, yeah.
And now, like, nah, we got value too. We want this too. We deserve to be complimented too. They had the Me Too on the men's side now.
Yeah, it's like, and then now the girls combat it with like, he acting extra sassy, like, But they're just standing up.
Ultimately, it's seeing, I'm not battling my man or a guy. I'm battling for a relationship.
Right.
What I tell my clients when coaching, when it's couple coaching, is that a lot of the times, you talked about the mirror earlier. When you're looking at a mirror, especially when it comes to your relationship being that mirror, you end up blaming that person instead of really looking at yourself and saying, this is what I could have done better.
Right.
None of my relationships in the past have I ever spoken bad about any of the guys. And I've been through some tough relationships, but I had a choice in the matter. I wasn't playing the main character in my love story.
Literally. And I think that goes back to like being able to set boundaries, right? And I feel like as women test men, men test women as well. Correct. Definitely. They gonna push until they can't push no more. So it's about like, you know, just setting your boundaries and like showing up as the main character, like you said. It's okay. And I feel like as women, we're prone to say like, oh, I'm gonna help. That's our like nature to just be like, oh, I'm gonna help. You know what I mean? Or be the nice girl, right? But it's okay to set boundaries and say like, no, I'm not comfortable with that. No, I don't want this. No, I don't want that. And part of the things that men be testing, I'm not gonna, you have to know yourself before you even step out in a relationship, because they gonna test. That's how all this polygamy and threesomes and all that, I feel like a lot of times, maybe I could be wrong, because yeah, whatever. If you don't want to do that, then don't do it. Don't do it for a man. You know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes that's what it be. For not all the times, but sometimes that's what it is.
I think we women have done a lot of things for the sake of keeping the man there.
Right. And nothing's going to keep a man other than a man wanting to be kept.
Correct.
That's it. Like, I was reading this book by Shahrazad Ali. That's how you pronounce the name? You know who I'm talking about. I know you know. Yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I could. Is this tacky that I do this in the middle of the thing? Hold on. Let me see. Shahrazad. Yeah. Okay. The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man. Right. I like a lot to read a lot of books. And what she said in that book was, one of the words that stood out to me, the sentences that stood out to me was that a man or the community can only go as high as the woman, if that makes sense. And I really understand that, because oftentimes, if you're not careful and you're in a relationship, a man will test you so much that they'll see if they could like suppress you, if that makes sense. They'll see if they could like, and this sounds like a scarcity mindset, but I mean, people gonna do what you allow them to do, right? So they'll test you to the point where like, to see if they could talk to you a certain way, if they could do certain things to you, and if you allow it, then they know they could play games with you, right? And I say that to say that I understand the men understand why they do that, because it's human nature in a sense, a little bit. But it's up to us as women to really set the boundaries and know who we are and our worth. Because as we rise, our men rise. We're the ones that are teaching the children. So when I was saying that we're all connected and we're all interconnected, when a man disrespects a woman or a woman disrespects a man, children see that. You know what I mean? And it affects the community. A lot of times people, even within cultures and race, like if one thing's happening to one group of people, it's going to happen to the next.
Correct.
We're all connected, so we all should stand on what's right. You know what I mean? So what's your take on that? How do you feel about that?
I do agree with you. Like, we're all connected, and it stems from the household. You know, like you said, the children see.
Right.
That's the next generation. It's just like we saw when we were growing up. One of my I have a workbook for my clients. One of my workbook is a brick wall. And what I did when I designed that, I was working on self-healing for myself. I wrote in my brick wall everything that I felt throughout my life journey. So now I'm 33 years old. So I wrote my abandonment issues. I wrote mistrust. I wrote lack of confidence. I wrote abuse. Like, so I kind of physically, in a physical form, I wrote it down. And then I sat in my mom's kitchen and I said, woman, let me ask you a couple of questions. While growing up, do you feel abandoned? And everything that I wrote on my brick wall, she said she felt. These are generational curses being passed on. Right. It stops when you decide, you have the choice to heal from it. You have the choice to say, this ends with me. Right. I'm going to do the healing for when my children see me. They're not going through what I went through. a lot of the times we don't do that at home. A lot of the times it's not spoken. I came from a family where you don't see nothing, you don't say nothing, that's it.
Right.
And what happens in this house stays in this house. And if you go to a therapist, you're crazy. We ain't crazy in this house, so you can't do that either. So we have to, a lot of the times, unlearn the things that we became belief systems based off of our childhood.
Programmed, yeah. And I don't think we understand the power of healing. You know what I mean? And you could literally heal yourself through your reality. You know what I mean? And once you heal, you could literally change your reality. And just working with different people and just seeing different realities, it just, like even at work, like just, I could be talking with my coworkers happy as ever, and then somebody else's reality, their family's about to die. You know what I mean? And I had this patient that like had, one of my coworkers, she was like, oh my God, she's like an African Christian woman, very highly, Christian. And she's like, look at his tattoos. It's so scary because he had like devil marks on his tattoos and stuff like that on his body. And for some reason, I don't know, I just wasn't scared about it because I'm like, well, that's the reality he faced. So that's what he felt like he had to do. I'm not saying it's right. Definitely not. But that some people's reality is just not yours. And it doesn't mean that you have to stay in that reality. So it just goes back to what we were saying, that healing is very powerful. We could all choose the higher road and eventually just evolve the whole collective as one.
And there's always a point, what I'm seeing with the clients, that there's always a point like they heal by themselves. Let's say they're single women. They're like, oh, I just got out this relationship. I'm healing. They go months with doing self-healing, then end up in the relationship and bam, the same traumas and triggers happen all at once. Healing individually is a different bracket than healing relationship-wise.
Let me tell you, because the universe is going to test you and make you stand on what you said
Correct.
that you healed from.
You say you ain't never going to allow this? Let's see. Let's put this to the test. Go ahead.
Literally, it's going to repeat the cycle until you learn it, until you prove to the universe, okay, I'm capable of going to the next level. And that's essentially what that is, the next reality that you supposedly want so bad. Are you willing to put in the work? You know what I mean? So, oh my God, see, I knew this was gonna. All right, I know you had mentioned before about generational curses, right? Let's just elaborate on that. How do you know that you're in a generational curse?
My beliefs when it comes to generational curses will be that that's something that's going to pop up not only in one aspect in your life, but all aspects in your life. It generally stems from childhood. So when you sit here and talk about the links of your past becoming your present moment in time, there's commonalities there. When I started my healing process, I wrote a list on everything that I complained about in relationships.
Right.
And I said, where did it stem from for me? I was like I said before, I was married. I was also abused in that marriage. So there was like domestic violence.
Wow.
And when I started my healing journey, I sat there and said, where was the first time I made an excuse for a man hitting me? And it went back to my father. And I said, the same excuse that I got for my father, like, oh, he loves me, I did something wrong,
Right. You try to justify
was
it.
the same justification that I gave my ex-husband at the time. And that's when it kind of kickstarted, like, hold up, what else from my past is popping up now in my present moment? So it's really taking inventory of what comes up. And the way that you really know is people going to tell you.
What do you mean?
People have so many opinions in your life. I guarantee you have heard all your traumas and triggers through others.
Right, through other relationships, yeah.
So like whether it's your sister or your family members saying, "Oh, you bossy," or you like to you like to be in control of everything, like it stemmed from somewhere.
Right.
Relationships does that all the time, where they pop up and say, "Oh, look at how you talk," or people highlight it.
You're right.
So when you start listening and you be like, "Am I really bossy? Hold up. Let me think about this." And then think of it, whether it's something that is true to you or something that's like, there's sometimes people just talking to talk.
Right. And that's the thing I love about spirituality, right? Because spirituality, not only is it about like one aspect of it is about connection and stuff like that, connection with a higher source or connection with relationships, but it's also about mindfulness, being aware and conscious about the decisions you make in life, right? And I just love how vulnerable you were to even express that you went through those traumas, because some people are not, able to do that. And now you have people to relate to your story. Because I've also heard like a lot of men be feeling like women be lying when they be saying that they got abused. I've heard that a couple of times, and that ain't right, because it's right, it's true. Like, especially back in the day, don't get me wrong, women be lying too. Men and women lie.
Everybody lie. Moral of the story.
But it don't mean you negate somebody's reality, because it could be a fact. You know what I mean? And I just love that you were able to reflect on your traumas and bring it back to your childhood and essentially heal from it, because you're more than worthy of not being your hands being put on. You know what I mean? And I love that.
It never happened again after that.
Hello.
Just saying.
And then you start attracting men that don't even think to even do that. Correct. Right? So I love that.
Thank you.
I remember when we were in the car, we were speaking about emotional intelligence versus intellectual intelligence. So tell me that story that you saw on Instagram about that.
So I was actually on TikTok, and they were doing these debates. The host was a man. I would not be able to say who it was. But he was talking about, like, he asked a valid question, at least to me. He said, if a woman matures faster than men, why can't their emotional intelligence be in the same kind of speed race as, their maturity? Right. And within that, there was like two younger girls combating that, like, oh, one doesn't have to do with the other. Right. Or when I believe that they're intertwined. Definitely. We talk about women's maturity because we want the ends goal before. We're sitting here getting married with our Barbie dolls at a certain age, and thinking about children and thinking about that way faster than men.
So the goal is already there. So it's just like, let's get to it. But there's a process to it.
Correct.
Right? And when we were having this conversation, one of the things I had mentioned was the fact that with emotional intelligence, I think a lot of times, because we're more emotional at nature, it's harder for us to process it sometimes. And I'm not gonna lie, like, being in the relationships with, or even platonic or romantic, with really healthy men, they'll be able to teach you and help regulate those emotions. Because a lot of times you hear that it's better to make movements when you're logical than emotional. Because when you're emotional, emotions fluctuate, right? So it's better to move with logic. So that's why I like picking men's brain, because they're known to be more logical and we're known to be more emotional. So it's like, all right, let me hear the logical side, because I already got the emotional side down pat. And I need help regulating it a little bit. So, in regards to that, I feel like to answer that podcast question, I feel like it's that where a lot of times we're not emotionally more intelligent than men due to the fact that we don't really know how to regulate it as much yet. Then also, I picked another man's brain, and they also said that women often play the victim a little bit. Do you think that's true?
I think
I don't really like.
For some people, they do cry wolf. I think that's really much of their coping mechanism on the way how they just find comfort in doing that. There's two parts to emotional intelligence. There's regulating and correlating yourself, knowing your emotions, being able to communicate that and regulating it. And then the second part is regulating the room. Have you ever gone to a place where a person walks in and the atmosphere changed? That's the second part to it. And especially in relationships, we always think about the I before the we. So if, let's say, my partner is upset and he is on high, I cannot meet him in that high level. Right. In order to regulate him, I have to bring him down with me to my level.
I'm thinking of a specific situation. You're absolutely right, because the reverse as well. And oftentimes, I think when we as women, when our emotions are heightened, if we're not comfortable with regulating it, we could be like, and like you said, there's power in the tongue. So we say anything.
Yep.
Right? And it's up to the man a lot of the times to help us regulate it if we're not there yet. So I feel like a lot of times men have to actually I'm not gonna say men. I think it depends on your maturity level too, because this is a tricky situation. I don't want to say man or woman, because I found that I had to teach a man to calm the fuck down too. Like I was able to not calm the fuck down because you can't. I don't mean it in that way. I just mean like I had to teach him to like lower his tone because, or like even my reaction, because I was getting high, then he got high, and then once I realized I couldn't beat him, I kind of went down a little bit, and then it's like, well, damn, why are you acting like that with me? You know what I mean? And just like, I think being able to help him adjust to that because, you know, a lot of times, especially men are, if they have like raised by single moms, they're more prone to like move with their emotion a little bit, like yell back at you instead of like helping to like regulate the situation. So I guess it just depends on like what
I think it's both sides.
Yeah, for sure.
I do believe it's both sides, but I also believe that it's singleness problems in relationships.
What do you mean?
So you could be in a relationship but have a singleness problem. If my lack of communication that I expect my man to do X, Y, and Z, and because he didn't do X, Y, and Z, that I did not even speak to him and tell him, that's an unmet expectation because I never vocalized my
Definitely, and I feel like we do that.
And then I get mad at him on top of that for not doing it.
Right.
Like he should have opened the door. I don't have to tell him to do that, you know. But it's different when you sit here and, as a woman and say, this is what I expect from you.
Right.
And give them the bracket of, this is the baseline.
Right.
If you don't get the baseline, then I'm out.
Right, because it goes back to like being able to teach someone how to love you. And I feel like a lot of people have this mindset where like, I shouldn't have to teach anybody how to love me, but you have to teach people throughout life how to treat you.
How to deal with you.
How to deal with you. So you have to do the same thing in your romantic relationship.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Yeah, this was a good conversation. You definitely have to come back to the multidimensional shift, Tati.
Definitely will.
Yeah. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having me.
Yes, and I think that what we could take from this, what do you think we could take from this episode?
Healing is not a one size fit all.
Yes.
You have to make the conscious choice for yourself that you want that for a better life for yourself.
Right, and just to add on to that like healing is not a linear process. It's a journey, and there's no right or wrong answer, you know. Move with your heart. And yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining me. And that concludes the Multidimensional Shift podcast, Love and Empathy.